The reason we're doing this presentation today is with recent events, we've had to make some adaptations to how we're going to be doing the camp. We are happy that we're able to offer an online camp, but there are some things that we've had to switch from our normal on-site one. What you can expect to see today is the full schedule, all of the options you'll have for scheduling, some of the adaptations we've made that we'll be offering, and you'll get to hear from each of our staff members in each department, whether it be math, chess, theater, mind games, etc. Okay. Also, throughout the course of this, everyone's going to be muted for organization's sake. There's a chat feature on Zoom that everybody has. If you mouse over your screen, if you're on a computer, you should have a toolbar at the top with a chat option. You can put any questions in there, and we'll read through all the questions at the end. So just make sure if you ask any questions in there, you make it detailed enough that we'll know when you typed it or what subject you're talking about. Okay, so starting here. I talked about this a little bit already, but during everything that's going on, we're going to be taking everything completely online. Everything is going to be through Zoom only. We'll have some other things required, such as like online chess accounts on some websites, but mostly everything will be done through Zoom. You won't need any other programs for the online camp. Our goal with this is to keep it as true to our on-site camp as possible. We'll still have the same coaching staff in addition to a couple new ones. We'll have some new activities, but mostly we're trying to stay as true to the on-site camp as we can. Okay, so for scheduling options, first of all, we have the full schedule laid out here. We are going to have a little bit of a shorter day than we had with our on-site camp, and we had to cut out our sports competitions mainly and most of the physical activity. So in the morning, we'll be starting at 10 a.m. and running until 4:30. Our camp usually ran from 9 to 3 or 9 to 5. So a little bit of shortened hours and a little bit different activities packed in. We're starting off with chess in the morning, as usual. We'll have our first chess lesson. The first chess lesson will be mainly concept focused. So the chess coaches will run through an important concept or tactic, something along those lines, and try to impress that upon the students for them to use in their games later in the day. We'll have a short break followed by another second lesson. Each lesson will be 50 to an hour long. Our second chess lesson will be more analysis focused. We'll take some games either from the students or from other players, hopefully related to the concept we just taught, so we can kind of show the concept in action that we just learned. After that, this would be where our sports and lunch break would normally be during. We are just going to give an hour and a half break to go to the bathroom, get lunch, go outside. Whatever you would like to do in that hour and a half is up to you guys. So there will be no sports competitions for this camp. It's pretty much all we had to cut out from our on-site camp. And I know that that was a favorite for a lot of the students, but we have some other activities thrown in there to compensate. Okay, so after that lunch break, that'll take us to 1:30 p.m. So in the morning, we'll have 2 chess lessons, take a short lunch break. We'll come back to do a puzzle rush. The Puzzle Rush is a chess.com application. It's a game you can play. It's a tactics trainer where students will try and solve as many problems as they can using various tactics in a 30-minute time window. Our purpose for this is to try and warm them up for their tournament games, because this will be done right before they play their tournament games. After that, that's short. It'll only take half an hour. Everybody will participate in a whole camp-wide tournament. We'll divide them by level, we'll divide them by skill groups, ages, and we'll talk more about all of these more in depth. And then from 3 to 4:30, we'll have all of the extracurricular activities that we had at our old camp and add in some new ones. We'll have math classes still. We will still have art classes. We'll have sign versus chess coaches, but we've added in a few new things. We have acting classes now and a mind games class, and you'll hear from both of those teachers later on. Okay. We have 2 scheduling options available, similar to we did with the on-site camp. We had our half day and our full day. With the half day, students would pretty much come in for the chess portion, play their tournament game, and then they would leave after that. They wouldn't stay for the extracurricular activities. We still have those options available. So our first option is our morning option. It would just be from 10 to 12, 2-hour time period, where you would participate in both chess lessons, the conceptual one and the analysis one. And then you would be free to go for the day. You wouldn't come back after the lunch break for the tournaments or the extracurriculars. If you are interested in playing those tournament games and having that competition aspect of it, we still have our full day package available. So for your full day, you would start at 10 a.m. You would go till 12 to the end of the lesson, take that 1.5 hour break, come back after that to do our puzzle rush, play your tournament game, and participate in those extracurricular activities that we talked about. Okay, this takes us to our chess classes. I'm going to pass it over to Chris, one of our chess teachers, to talk a little bit about how these classes will operate.
Okay. Hi, I'm Chris Welcome, one of the chess instructors at ICA. This is a general summary of how the chess classes run. First of all, there are high-level experienced coaches. I've taught at many chess camps, but not all chess camps supply experienced coaches. At ICA, the level of the coaching is very high level coaching, all the way from grandmaster level coaching in certain circumstances for specialized classes. And we have many national master and expert level coaches as well. So the level of the coaching is very high. Most of them are experienced and current tournament players. So you're going to have very, very competent coaching. There are some other activities that are put into the chess, but it's primarily chess instruction. But at sometimes there will be some varied activities, such as simultaneous exhibitions with the chess coach. Those will be going on, as well as different puzzle level activities that will be integrated throughout the class. The tournaments are part of the chess experience, but I won't go too much into that because we have someone covering tournaments, so I'll leave them to cover that. One important thing is that the classes fit all ages and levels. As we said, we have various levels of instruction, but all of the instructors are able to teach any level of chess player, from players that don't know how the pieces move and have to learn the general rules, all the way up to students that are used to playing tournaments, and maybe even some that may, compete in national competitions when they have the chance. So the classes are varied, and you don't have to worry that you won't find a class that fits your child's level, because we're able to accommodate all the way from beginner to what we consider to be tournament level players. So the groups are small. We don't have situations where there are more than 6 students to a teacher. Generally speaking, many of the classes can be even smaller, but the point is that enables your children to get personal attention during the chess coaching. If they have any issues, as a matter of fact, when the next presenter speaks, they'll get into the details of how some of the lessons are given, but generally speaking, it's very interactive. Once we go through various levels of instruction, various levels of training, we're always encouraging interaction and participation from the children to get them engaged, and to also to understand what their gaps in their knowledge is. So because of that, because the students are constantly engaged, ask questions, ask feedback, open-ended questions, etc., they are able to really give the instructor a good idea of their level of experience. From that, we're able to help them better, because once we understand what they need, we can focus on those things on an individual level, even though they're in a class together. The groups are divided by age and or skill. So it's a delicate balancing act, but we want to accommodate both. If there's a young child that is very advanced in chess, we may have to bump them up to a slightly older group simply because they need that level of instruction. So we basically pay attention to the skill level as well as the age, because we are mindful of the social aspect that kids like to be with kids their own age. So we try to accommodate that. But every once in a while, there will be a skill level that causes us to either push a kid up to a higher level class simply to accommodate their level of skill and their level of experience in chess. So other than that, I think at this point we can go to the details of the instruction, which is the next presenter.
Okay, so thank you, Chris. Chris talked a bit about who will benefit from our classes and a bit of the background on our teachers. We have a lot of experienced teachers. Many of us are tournament players ourselves. We've been playing chess for a long time, and you can expect that any age accommodated. Okay, so a little bit about what happens in our classes. I'll pass it over to Danny so he can talk a little bit more about the technical chess stuff.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danny Raid, longtime chess coach at ICA and also student from ICA, one of the original students there. And been involved in the camp here for a long time. With the instruction, one of the things Chris was talking about so great is that we have a really good ratio of not having teachers being overwhelmed, and instead having, as it said, only 6 to 1 or better, sometimes 3 or 4 even to 1, depending on how many people decide to come. And it allows us to really give a good focus and attention to each student and get a sense of where they're at and how to help them improve on it. But specifically in the classes, we will start, depending where the students start from, if they're complete beginners, we go straight to just learning the basic rules of chess. But obviously some players may come in with more experience and already be in tournaments and tournament level classes. And in their cases, we're not going to redo some of the things that they already know, like learning just the basic rules. But we're still going to be working on an arsenal of winning tactics and giving them different tactical themes and concepts so that they know what they can use effectively to try to help them win in their games, and then to give them practice examples, opportunity to hone those skills by seeing the same patterns, but in different scenarios, in different situations, so that they learn to recognize those patterns and then hopefully, ideally, apply them in their own games at some point down the road. One of the other main things we really do during the lessons is we learn to we go over their games. We learn how to analyze a game, right? So we just from start to finish, we'll discuss where the moves they made were really good and helpful, and the moves that they would want to continue to try to repeat in the future, and which moves weren't great and maybe could have been better. And just going through it's really one of the best ways to improve as a player in general, is to analyze those games, because when you play, you're putting your best foot forward, trying to do everything you can to win that game and play it the best you can. So when you get the chance afterwards to look back with an experienced coach who can give you that insight as to like where you could improve, what ideas you should be looking for in those similar kinds of positions, it really can help those players to grow and improve. So definitely it's one of my favorite parts about the lessons, and I think something that the kids will really benefit from is getting to analyze their games. But also we'll introduce different strategies for how to handle the different positions that come up, and that can be through the analysis of their games, but it can also just be coming from other positions of strong players, or even sometimes we'll use our own games. I often reference some of my own practice and tournament games to present positions where one strategy might be the most successful, or the optimal one to use. And so that's another component of it, is just going over the types of strategies to apply. Whether it's simplifying because you already have an advantage, and maybe you're just trying to simplify and maintain that advantage and not let it slip away, or let an opponent do anything to catch up. Or maybe it's knowing the moment to start to attack, or knowing what area of the chessboard to attack, to decide based on where the pieces are set up. So, it's one of the cool things about chess is that each game is unique, but also the same themes, the same patterns and strategies and tactics, they reappear in different forms. And so it's we learn and teach our kids to recognize those patterns and those strategies, and where to apply one versus another. So we also help the students learn to visualize and to calculate through complex positions. That's especially true and applicable for the more experienced of the players. When they're very young and just learning the basic rules, we may not be visualizing so many moves in advance in our mind, but could still be a couple, could still be two or three. And that's one of the skills that I think is maybe most useful and transferable to other academic areas outside of chess. When the kids learn to visualize a position and to imagine what it's going to be like just 1, 2, 3 moves ahead from where it is now, that's a skill that they're going to need to use in science, when they're reading, in so many different academic areas, to be able to visualize what something will be like in their mind without actually getting to physically see it with their eyes in front of them. And so we definitely practice and train that skill through problem solving. And I think that's one of the things that really helps them grow. And throughout all that stuff, we really try and hope to instill a passion for the game. And I think in most cases we do. Because as Chris was saying, we have some really great coaches, some very experienced top level players who have their own love for the game. And in general, I think that passion and appreciation that the coaches have tends to infect the students with the same kind of love for the game. They can feel that excitement and that passion that we all have. That's the gist with how the lessons go. We'll work on all those different skills, from basic rules up to advanced strategies and tactics and visualizing. So I think that's all for me, right?
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so before we move on, our next slide is regarding how we're going to be running the tournaments within our camp. But before we move on to that, I want to touch a little bit on why we run tournaments in the first place. We have many different students of many different levels coming in. You heard Danny and Chris talk about it a little bit. We have some beginners who don't even know how to move the pieces. They're coming in to get introduced to the game. They want to play it as a hobby. They want to play it with their friends. And we are equipped to do that. But the main portion of our players come to our school mostly knowing how to play already, looking to improve, either to compete, play in tournaments, or just to get better overall. So we do try to implement tournaments into our daily routine because tournaments can be very complicated and draining with a lot of the rules they have. There are more rules to chess. You have to be able to sit through a long game. So we try to simulate tournament conditions as best we can so that people who are looking to improve like that can get used to it. But also we feel tournaments are useful for any level because you have to play against an opponent of your skill level in a game where the conditions are very serious. There won't be any talking, there won't be any messing around, just a very serious game. It can apply to any skill level, but we like to help prepare those who want it to play in tournaments themselves. Okay, I'm going to pass it over. He is one of our chess coaches, but also a very experienced tournament director, not just with us, but many other places as well. And he's going to talk a little bit about how we'll be running our tournaments in the camp.
Yeah. Hi, again, I'm Alessandro. I'm a tournament director and chess coach at ICA, and I've been sort of leading our charge to bring our tournaments online as quickly as possible with all that's been going on. So I've set up the following infrastructure so that we can try and simulate our in-person tournaments online. So I'll quickly go through how we're going to have it set up, what you're going to need to do in order for it to work, which isn't very much, and the details of the tournament games. So the matches will be held on chesskid.com, which some of you may have used already for personal use or through ICA. So all that you're going to need to do is sign into an account which we provide. We are going to create an account for your student. You're going to sign into that account with the information that we give to you by email. And then you're going to go into the live chess servers on ChessKid by pressing play versus kid. And then once you're there, tournament directors have control of you in terms of pairing you in a game. So tournament directors, which will be probably me and Nick, will take care of everything else. We'll set you up with your game. We'll give you the correct opponent, the correct color, the correct time control. The time control for all of our games in this tournament will be game 30 with a 5-second increment. That means you start with 30 minutes on your clock, and every time you make a move, you get an additional 5 seconds. Like Nick said, we're going to have our chess groups in the morning, and we're going to have our tournaments in similar, if not the same, groups. Again, they'll be based on skill level, a little bit based on age, and also we're going to use ratings as much as we can to form groups that would make sense for a tournament. So a lot of our campers will already have a USCF rating. If you don't know what that even means, don't worry about it. But for groups that have all players who already have USCF ratings, just in the past few days, USCF did announce that we can now create online slow time control ratings for your children and for all players. So we will now be, for people who already have a USCF rating, taking your over-the-board rating, your live rating, that will turn into an online rating, and then will change based on the games that you play. If you don't have a USCF rating or USCF membership, don't worry, you won't have to do anything. And just some general comments about our tournaments. They are, like Nick said, a great way to practice chess and to stimulate competition between these people who are working, that your children who are working together in the camp to learn chess, and prepare them if they're going to go on to state and even possibly national competitions. And again, we're doing everything we can to simulate in-person tournaments with our online tournaments. So we're going to have as serious an environment as we can. We're going to make sure that everybody's, staying at their computer, which acts as the board, and focusing the whole time. And we're going to have the games available through ChessKid. We're going to be able to see all of them after the fact so that we can analyze them during the lessons, and so students can analyze them themselves if they want as well. And we're going to be playing one tournament game per day, make sure that nobody's that everybody can focus on their one tournament game. They don't have to worry about playing more than one. However, sometimes people will finish very quickly, and in that case, the coaches will probably have the students play a practice game with the same format, just so that they get a little bit more playing experience. However, there'll only be one match that counts for the tournament, one match that counts for any rating. That's about it for tournaments. Thank you.
Okay, so that is mostly it from our chess department, but as a chess coach myself, before we wrap it up and move on to the extracurriculars, I do want to say, as much as we talk about the technical, as much as we talk about improvement and tournaments and competing, chess is a game that is thousands of years old. The theory has been developed for ages. It is a very, very complicated game, but at its core, it is still a game, and it is meant to be fun. And Chris touched on it a little bit, but we are not trying to create battle-hardened chess tournament playing robots here. We are trying to give the kids a fun environment to develop a passion for this game. As much as we like to compete and talk about how difficult it is still a game, and we will keep it fun. They will be in groups with other children, learning how to play this game and improve at it as much as they want to. And however high they want to push that ceiling, our coaches will be there for them. Okay. Moving into our extracurriculars. We have math, art, theater, and acting, mind games. We have a lot of different things to supplement the chess side of the camp. We do not expect our campers to sit through chess the entire day. It can be very, very draining. So we have armed ourselves, like we did in the on-site camp, with a couple of other fun things we can introduce. Okay, we're going to start with our math department. We have 2 math teachers, Allie and Eugene, and possibly one more coming in for the camp, but you will not be meeting her today. All right, Allie, I'm going to pass it to you to explain a little bit about the math.
Yeah, so as Nick mentioned, one of the extracurriculars is math. And the ICA summer math program helps students strengthen their math skill, inspire growth mindset, and encourages critical thinking. Students will learn to solve problems and explain their thinking using the Singapore math standards through various books such as the Art Problem Solving and Beast Academy. And we use these books virtually, so all the teachers will have them and the students do not need to purchase them. Everything will be uploaded and it can be done through the software. Through this advanced curriculum, the students learn unique and comprehensive solutions to challenging math problems through problem-solving activities, strategies, and practice. And that's about it for math. It's just a extracurricular where you can learn. We have our standard curriculum books, and we pull questions from it that are more fun than a usual summer semester. If anyone's taken a semester at ICA during a normal curriculum, these questions would be more entertained and more interactive, and kids would be able to use the whiteboard and draw and solve problems that would be easier to solve through a virtual setting.
Okay, and with our math classes, same as chess, we will have different level groups.
Yeah.
So for different ages, we will have easier math level groups and more difficult math level groups. Eugene is one of our more advanced math coaches. I'll pass it over to him to explain a little bit more.
Yes, guys. So basically, I have to say that in my class, we are going to solve creative puzzles. We are going to face enchanting number theory problems, and we are going to actually make travels into the history of mathematics, because I myself, I love math history, and I read a lot of books about different mathematicians. So I do believe that mathematics can be really exciting, especially when you explain some concept to a student and you make an excursion into the history of this concept. For instance, like if you say something about Fermat's last theorem, you can go and talk about who Fermat was, for how long the theorem remained unsolved, and who ultimately was able to prove the theorem. So all this means a lot of excitement, a lot of fun. And so I do want mathematics to be excitement and fun. I don't want it to be a boring subject. So that's basically it.
Okay. We have had art classes in our on-site camp, and we are looking to continue those because our campers, it's definitely one of their favorites, especially amongst the younger ones. Their favorite time of the day is going over to the art class. This year we have Erica covering our art classes, so I will pass it over to her to explain a little bit how she'll be operating these.
Hi, my name's Erica and I'm a self-taught artist. I've been drawing and making crafts ever since I can remember. I'm especially passionate about sketching and making dream catchers, which is exactly what my class will offer. Here you can see some examples of drawings I've made in the past, along with some dream catchers I've made. Art, as you may know, is a very fun and important way of self-expression while working the mind. And in my class, I'll teach the campers how to identify shapes and images in order to sketch with accuracy. Different styles of art, including realism, impressionism, surrealism, and cubism, and the concept of shading to build depth in the drawings. My class will serve as a supportive environment to help the campers improve on their artistic skills while allowing them to express themselves creatively. It'll be fun. I'll be able to work with the campers of all levels and abilities, where I can work with every individual student to enhance their own personal skills. Materials will be provided to all campers that have signed up by mail, so that they will have all that they need to make their crafts.
Okay. One new thing we have in our camp this year that we've never had before, we are offering theater and acting classes. I definitely cannot speak on this topic, so I will pass it over to Alexis to explain this one.
Hi. Well, okay, so this is actually a wonderful coming together of worlds for me, because I am a theater teacher, but I am also a chess teacher with a different company. So when your children talk about chess to me, I will actually understand what they're talking about. So a little bit of right brain, left brain mixing, I love it. So as somebody said earlier, and as a lot of people have touched on, we're kind of going to cater towards students' individual needs. I think Chris said that earlier, and that's what I do in my theater class. So I don't want to like make a child do all of this, Shakespeare, if that's not what they're feeling inspired by. If they come in and say, hey, I just saw a really cool movie and I want to do a scene from this movie that I saw, then I'm just like, absolutely, and we will do that. And I will teach you the tools to make whatever thing that you are inspired by the best that it can absolutely be. I have been teaching theater since, I've been in theater since I was about 4 years old. So I've been teaching theater since I could teach in a theater summer camp. So probably since I was about 15. And I love working with students' individual needs, as I previously mentioned. If a child is very shy and just really needs to, is feeling not very confident, then I want to work with that kid to make that child feel as confident as they can possibly be and walk away from the class feeling like they have grown. And as you can see in my Zoom class, if you're looking at the slide, things get a little weird, things get a little crazy. I have puppets that come in, they like to hang out with the kids, and the kids are very, very, I encourage them to be as silly and wacky as possible. And let's see, also we will go over improvisation, and I love to write original stories with the kids. And they can usually go in so many different places. It's so funny. I'll keep the script, I'll email it to the parents and be like, look what your kid wrote today. How bonkers is that? Isn't it funny? And especially if they're like on the younger side, because the things that they can come up with is absolutely brilliant. And then we take their ideas and cultivate them and come up with, something really wonderful to present. Also, for some of my older kids, I go into theater history and theatrical styles with my second graders as school's coming to a close. For my second graders, we are actually studying Commedia dell'arte. And, I'm making that, of course, age appropriate for second grade. And they are creating these Commedia stories using the stock characters, and we're recording on Zoom, and we're going to edit together a little movie since Zoom has become our stage, and I'm going to be sending that to parents. For even younger ones, we are doing adaptations of fairy tales. So you can definitely expect to have some familiar fairy tale figures thrown into some of our presentations. And then we also get like really bonkers with character creation and how to find things that inspire you that will create a character. So it's all very, very welcoming and warm environment, and there is no wrong answers in theater. And some of the skills that we also are, that I hit on in my class, you know, that will just kind of help the younger kids, reading and memorization. And then for the older kids, you know, public speaking and creative collaboration, working as a team, that type of thing. So yeah, that is my theater class.
All right. Okay, last extracurricular activity that we have, it ties into math a little bit, and we have done some things like this before, but we are specifically separating it this year because we have a lot of good ideas coming forth about how to run it. I'm going to pass it to Roman to explain what he's going to be doing for his mind games class.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hi, my name is Roman. I also taught chess and math at ICA. So I know how to take some of the concepts taught in those classes and create a challenging yet fun mix of activities and riddles for the students. So the name of the course is Mind Games and Puzzles, but it'll include a number of different things. It's a class designed to improve a student's logic, their concentration and cognition by using a variety of different approaches that focus on key areas of the brain. So keep into the traditional classroom experience because we do want it to feel as if it's a real camp that they had before. I will try to get some hands-on activities for them to play. So one game that we used to play last year, the summer camp, was Towers of Hanoi, where you move pieces around using your hands and you are responsible to solve the puzzle. So I found games like that I could do interactively to kind of work that area of the brain. There'll be strategy board games like Go. There'll be memory challenges. They'll require matching and pattern recognition. Also, students will be exposed to a number of fun, creative brain riddles that focus on development of logic and higher level understanding. Games like Sudoku. There'll be some coding and decoding, some word puzzles, and a number of math riddles to solve. Students will also have the opportunity to solve detective mysteries by finding clues and using hints by watching Brightside videos. These are really fun YouTube videos that requires students to pay attention, focus on some hints, and solve a number of riddles and puzzles and detective mysteries. So I've had a lot of success with these things before. And there'll be other games, interactive games that will help improve their problem-solving abilities and just increase cognition. So that's it. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Okay. Last thing, and then we will go to our conclusion and answer any questions you might have. Definitely the camper's favorite. We will still be offering all of our awards that we did before. If you are new to us, every week at the end of our camping week, we would have an award ceremony where we would award a prize for literally everything that the campers have been involved in. That goes for best student in each chess group. It goes for chess tournament winners. It goes for best problem solvers, best art, math, theater. We will have a prize for anything they participate in. So we encourage all the students to try their best and put their best effort into whatever activity they may be doing. Even if they're not really feeling chess that day, they can still participate in something else to earn an award. We'll have a number of different awards going out depending on ages and many other things, but we will have our normals like medals, maybe some trophies, some chess books, chess calendars. We'll be offering some online memberships to the chess website that we'll be using for the tournaments. So for tournament winners, maybe if they're enjoying the site, we can unlock all the site's features for them. Other than that, it will try and stay as true to normal awards as we can. We will make sure that there is a prize for every single category that we'll have throughout the day. Just want to say that we've presented everything that we're planning for this camp. We regret that we can't do it on site as we've been doing for many, many years. And the campers love coming back to that. So we wanted to try and adapt to the times and make sure that we can still offer something that they will enjoy. While it may not be the exact true self of the camp they're used to, we've taken all the elements they enjoy the most and tried to add some new ones to create more memories for them. and we will still keep all of their social interaction with the other students. Hopefully, they will see their friends sign up as well.
Thank you to my wonderful staff. I'm really happy with all my teachers. And Daniel didn't mention that he started playing chess when he was 5 years old. Okay, well, wouldn't tell me how old is he now. And Nick probably was 5 years old as well, right?
Younger.
And Alessandro was probably 5 years old. So they all former ICA students, and now my best. Eugene also was at some point, but he was not that young. He was also ICA student.
I joined ICA when it just began, when it just was created. I was the first student, one of the first students, and I also had the highest rating at some point.
Yes, you were. That's true. That's absolutely true. Okay, all right. If there's no more questions, nothing, then thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a week in the camp.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye, everyone.
All right.
Okay.